On May 22nd, 2023, Show Hitboxes on Death was officially unbanned from the Demons list. This is huge news because everyone who looked at this situation pretty much universally agreed that it should never have been banned in the first place. That being said, a lot of people still don't actually understand the situation. Some people don't understand why the Demons list considered it a cheat, and a lot of people don't understand why it's not a cheat. And so in this video, I'm going to go into exactly that. So for the few people who don't use Mega Hack, let me catch you up to speed on what Show Hitboxes on Death actually is. Basically what this mod does is every single time you die, you can view the hitboxes for a brief second to see what you died to. This mod can be especially useful if you're playing levels with really bad hitboxes, and so it can show you and help you learn what those bad hitboxes are, and essentially just teach you more about the game itself. It can also just be a good tool to educate the player and get them used to the game's physics, and overall it's beneficial to the player. On November 30th, 2022, the Demon List actually banned the mod considering it a cheat, and so let's break down their logic. To start off, let's just read the old statement from November.
At everyone, please do not announce to the server when you are going to go
Oh shit, wait, that's the wrong announcement, hold on. Hello at everyone. As you all know, Show Hitboxes on Death is a hack that allows you to view the hitboxes of what you died to before starting your next attempt. Ever since its release, we have allowed it without any limitations, but as of recently we have become aware of some of the problems with allowing this hack. We have noticed it's possible to use this hack to gain an advantage on specifically challenging timings, memory parts, or just to be able to give an advantage through continuous use. Therefore, we're implementing a limited ban specifically for exploits that may be possible by the hack. Instances of these exploits include, but are not limited to, frame-perfect or near to this level timings that allow for clues to the hitboxes of the obstacle, example hard machine, invisible timings that were not intended to have visual cues, example of ambrosia, and general cases where overall use of SHOD allows for more accurate pinpointing of specific timings, examples super probably level and requiem. So to keep the usage of this hack fair across all submissions, the usage of SHOD will now be disallowed for all levels under the specific circumstances below. A specific instance in the attempt before the submitted run is completed, where the hack is exploited for the purpose stated above. Significant evidence from the raw footage and or other sources that the hack is habitually used and is used on the attempt before the completion. As a result of these conditions, we will not be rejecting records that have used SHOD or other methods of checking hitboxes for practice runs or occasional use. So yeah, I just wanted to read the statement out in its entirety to be fair to the Demons list here so you know what the situation basically is. The Demons list in this message is literally acknowledging that there's only 3 scenarios where it could give you an advantage, but they're banning it globally instead of just banning it for those levels or creating a stipulation. The problem I have with this entire situation is that Show Hitbox on Death doesn't really give you any advantage in any of these situations, or if it does, it's so minuscule that it doesn't matter. So let's break all of these down point for point and explain exactly why this would not be cheating. So first and foremost, let's talk about the whole frame perfect issue. The thing about SHOD that a lot of people don't talk about in this situation is that you can only see the hitboxes for a brief second right after you die unless you pause the game. And even then, if you stare at the hitboxes for a long time, that's no different from just looking at an image of the level with hitboxes. Considering you can only see the hitboxes while the player is, dead, when you get to that timing in the level, you're not going to see the hitboxes until after you mess the timing up. You can't see the hitboxes before you make the timing, and so the timing is still done in a relatively vanilla way. You jump, and then after you die, you see how you messed up the jump. It doesn't assist the player in making the jump, it just basically puts a flag up for the player saying, this is why you fucked up. And as a quick little tangent coming off of this feels insulting to top players to me. The idea that you need to ban Show Hitboxes on Death because top players are going to use it to cheat on timings? Let's be real, if you're able to beat a level that has a timing like this, you're able to consistently do a timing like this. Even with Show Hitboxes on Death, you don't need this mod to do this jump. The idea that you're basically banning this mod saying, oh, people are gonna use it to gain an advantage and do the timing easier, it would just be easier for them to do the timing. You're basically just retroactively banning a mod because you're afraid that it could give someone an advantage. Even if it could, it's not as much of an advantage as just memorizing where to jump. Also keep in mind that most top players, hell, most non-top players, just most people who beat anything harder than Hard Demon get to the point where they have the hitboxes at least partially memorized in their head. Most players who beat anything harder than Hard Demon have the hitboxes memorized, especially top players. It's to the point where if I show this spike on screen, the majority of my viewers already know where the hitbox is. Keep in mind that most people use show hitboxes on death as a sort of educational tool to teach themselves the way the game's hitboxes work. Not for an individual level, but for the game as a whole. The only people who really gain anything from Shod are new players watching people beat levels on YouTube or on Twitch. Because if a streamer dies and the viewer sees the hitboxes, they now understand how that top player died. Because on harder levels, that's not always obvious, especially to someone who doesn't understand how the game works. But to claim it can help you memorize a timing or make a timing easier is just outright false, because it'd just be easier to learn the timing in practice mode at that point. I'm going to lump the last 2 points together and just say that the final claim is that it can help you memorize memory levels. Here's the issue with this. The Demon's List reach does not go that far, and they cannot ban the use of mods on a regular basis. You as the player can cheat to your heart's content as long as you don't claim that those cheats are legitimate and you don't try to submit a cheated record to the list. Like as an example, botting levels is obviously cheating. However, if you are to bot a level for the purpose of showcasing it on YouTube, and then you upload that, that doesn't mean you're suddenly barred from uploading a completion of that level to the Demon's List. The only time the Demon List rules actually matter are during the attempts you are trying to beat the level. What this means is you could turn show hitboxes on death, do an entire practice run of Super Probably level to learn the level, then turn the mod off and then beat the level without it, and you're not breaking Demon's List rules. But you're still getting this advantage that they're claiming is bad because you're learning the level with hitboxes. If I can be totally blunt, the Demon's List has no control over how you learn a level. You could use something that's genuinely banned for a good reason. You could use something like no-clip accuracy to learn a level, and this is something top players have done. Many top players turn on no-clip accuracy so that they can gain consistency on Slaughterhouse. Even though no-clip accuracy is banned on the Demon's List, they can't do anything about people doing that because they don't have the mod turned on when they actually beat the level. The Demon's List has no control over how you practice a level, and it shouldn't. What really perplexes me, and why this whole thing makes no sense to me, is show hitbox. And I don't mean show hitbox on death, I just mean show hitbox, the mod that shows hitboxes constantly. This has always been banned on the list for what I hope is obvious reasons. But it was never against the rules to die and then turn it on, see where you died, and then turn it off. Show hitbox is less regulated than show hitbox on death, which is an absolute joke to me. There is only one situation I can think of to where show hitbox on death gets you the tiniest advantage, and that is the very, very rare instance where there is a frame perfect as the first jump in the level. And I don't mean the way Slaughterhouse does it, where the first spike happens to be a frame perfect. I mean within literal seconds of you spawning in. And the only two levels I can think of that do this are Unknown and Abyss of Darkness. But again, to act like players are going to need to use this to cheat or are even going to want to is a joke. Because even if they use this to cheat, that doesn't give them an advantage out of the rest of the level. Oh, okay, well you just made it easier to do the first jump. That doesn't help you with the several frame perfects that come after the first one. What I'm trying to get at here is even if someone did cheat the first frame perfect of a level, that doesn't help them with the frame perfects after. Like, even if they were allowed to no-clip the first spike but not the rest of the level, they still have to do the rest of the level. And so acting like this is some massive advantage when it's only the first jump in the level is a joke. Basically, you have two scenarios. Either the player is not good enough to do the first jump in Abyss of Darkness, which means they're not going to be able to beat Abyss of Darkness even if they get past the first jump, because that's one of the easier jumps of the level. Or they are able to do the rest of the level, which means that the first jump isn't hard for them, and show hitboxes on death doesn't give them an advantage. These two will never cross over. Either you can't beat the level, and therefore the first jump is too hard for you, or you can beat the level, and therefore the first jump is going to get consistent. And the final thing I need to say on the whole frame perfect thing is, people are underestimating frame perfects, which is kind of funny because most of the time the community overrates frame perfects and acts like they're the hardest thing in the game, but in this case, they're kind of being underrated. Frame perfects are, as the name entails, a jump you can only do in one frame. Now, don't get me started on FPS stuff, but I'll just quickly mention so that I don't get 1,000 comments. Yes, the higher the frame rate, the easier said frame perfect is, to the point where I think you can get like a 6-frame window on a 1-frame jump. But the point is, these jumps are fucking tight. And with how tight these jumps are, knowing where the hitbox is and knowing where the jump isn't going to make it any easier to do the jump. It's kind of like if I showed this straight fly to somebody who hasn't played the game and I explained to them in detail how you do the straight fly. That doesn't mean they're suddenly going to be able to do the straight fly, because it's a skill. It's something you need to get good at doing. Just being shown how to do it isn't going to suddenly make you able to do it. It's just such an insult to top players. It's genuinely awful. It's the worst thing ever because it really undermines the skill of these players. Through my experience using show hitbox on death, it's never felt like it gave me an advantage, and if anything, it's only really helped other creators. For example, I beat I Spy with My Little Eye before it was rated, and I experienced a very odd bug in the transition to the boss fight part. What? Wait, what the fuck happened? Huh? Oh no, what? Okay, I think this part's buggy. It worked in practice. The bug turned out to be caused by platforms that were squished too close together. I could only see what was causing this bug because I could see the hitboxes. But because I pointed it out in my video, Voxacat saw my video and went and fixed the bug. On May 22nd, 2023, they finally unbanned the mod, but they didn't do it because they had a change of heart. They did it because they put up a vote and 70 to 80% of the people who voted said the mod was not a cheat. It took half a year of people basically screaming at the Demons List that this was not a cheat for them to realize this was not a cheat. The Demons List is like a dog pissing on the floor. You need to rub their nose in it just to give them the slightest idea that they may have messed up. It's just so frustrating to me because this is easily one of the most pointless bans I've seen in the longest time, and it took 6 months for it to get unbanned, despite the entirety of the community straight up saying that they didn't like this ban. Kinda reminds me of another situation. You know what the funniest thing I realized during this entire situation is, though? The Demons List can't regulate verifications. See, it's kind of funny, but if you verify a level with a mod that's banned on the Demons List and then it gets rated, the Demons List is still gonna place it. If that gives you an idea of how unregulated these rules are, yeah, if you do something that's against Demons List rules in a verification, they'll still place it if the level's rated. It's because of that that I want to end this video on this note. Stop taking the Demons List rules seriously. If you are not actually submitting levels to the list, you do not need to abide by Demons List rules. Play the game how you want to play the game. Just don't lie to the community and act like you're legitimate while you're cheating. But as long as you're not cheating, play the game how you want. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I know I got a little angry towards the end, but yeah, I just wanted to give my thoughts on the situation and sort of explain the situation in a little bit more detail. So, yeah, thank you for watching.